Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It is 6:06. It's O'Connor and Company. Thanks for tuning in here to America's Morning Show, keeping you informed and entertained from coast to coast every single morning. Relentlessly. Coming up at 6:35, Mike Clancy is running for Congress in the 10th District of Virginia. We'll check in on that race. 7:05, Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. 8:05, we'll speak with Dr. Marty McCary, the last man standing in the scientific community after the pandemic. And then at 8:35, Tony Sabio. He is a former Secret Service agent. I am Larry O'Connor, and I believe you are Julie Gunlock.
That's correct.
Are you not,
I
Jules? You are absolutely Julie Gunlock. All right. Focusing on Montgomery County, Maryland for a moment here. The Montgomery County Council, they have listen to the language here employed. The County Council voted unanimously Tuesday to affirm the county's commitment to reproductive rights. Yes. And to support a November ballot question that would protect reproductive freedom in the state constitution. Well, I mean,
thank God, because Maryland, it was real risky there.
Especially in Montgomery County.
Yeah,
kind
Montgomery
of a coin
County.
Slip. Yeah, well, no, they've got it down to, whether you can actually have an abortion 6 weeks or 32 weeks after the birth of a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's not quite
legal.
that bad.
It's been legal in Maryland since 92.
Pretty damn legal.
Yeah.
Pretty damn legal. And also, for anybody who understands how these things go, generally speaking, it's not the county council and the voters on a ballot initiative in a county that then feeds upwards to the state law and into the Constitution to protect a so-called right known as reproductive rights. And again, just for the clarity of the English language, by the time a woman or birthing person needs to go in and do that dastardly abortion act, the act of reproduction has already commenced.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with the right to reproduce. Every single person who has had an abortion has already followed through with the act of reproduction. The question is whether you end the results of that reproductive act. That's what an abortion is. All right. So obviously, this is not about the commitment to reproductive rights and protecting reproductive freedom in the state constitution. What is it really about? We've got the man with the answer, Reardon Sullivan. He is the chairman for Committee for Better Government and the former chairman of the Republican Party in Montgomery County. I didn't realize that he did not still hold that title. I apologize. Sullivan, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Larry. Thanks for having me on this morning.
Right, so I think we've just cleared up the myth that so-called reproductive freedom or the ability to kill an unborn child is in any way at risk in the state of Maryland or in the county of Montgomery. So what is this ballot initiative really about, Sully?
It's really interesting. They're phrasing this ballot initiative at the state level. It actually has problems because it actually allows minor children to make decisions about their reproductive health without input from the parents. And ask your listeners to actually look at the bill. It actually says that every person has a central component of an individual's rights to liberty and equality. The question is every person.
Every person.
It doesn't define every person because the way that can be interpreted is minors. And when there's a Senator, Justin Reedy, who said, hey, can we put a carve out that says adults? Can we make it so that minors don't have this right to make these decisions without the input of their parents, using taxpayer money to make gender decisions? At 14, if you can't figure out when you're supposed to go to bed, how can you make a gender decision? It doesn't make sense.
Well, Sully, a really quick follow-up here because 14-year-old, that's one thing. But we, of course, know the story of the tragedy of this, what was it, an 8-year-old girl or a 9-year-old girl in Ohio that had to go to Indiana, or Indiana girl who went to Ohio to get an abortion in that state. Any minor, most minors, I should say, most minors in the state of Maryland, if they are in need of an abortion, that minor is also the victim of a crime. Is there anything in here about that? Is there anything, if a 10-year-old girl needs this kind of medical procedure, I would think not only should the parents know about it, but the authorities should know about it.
Oh, there's nothing in this amendment that speaks to that. And again, there's nothing in the amendment that speaks to the big issue of not just abortion, but the amazingly crazy issue of gender reassignment. Should somebody who's 8 years old be able to say, today I want to be an astronaut and tomorrow I want to be a boy or a girl? I think the parents really need to be, and parents have the right to be involved with that conversation.
Well, it's great that you caught this. I'm impressed because they can be very sort of sneaky with how they write these bills. And you're right. Instead of every person, every adult, that is a very subtle thing that they've done here. But isn't this typical? We see Democrats and in these blue areas of the country increasingly trying to take away the rights of parents, whether it's just boldly out there publicly or subtly like this thing. You have every person instead of every adult. Are you seeing other attacks on parents' rights coming up from the Democrats in Montgomery County?
Well, what's interesting is we have a video from behind the scenes at a Democrat hearing, and it's amazing. They actually know that this is an issue. We have one lady who was saying, she points out this exact issue, but they don't make that known. They concentrate on just focusing on saying it's an abortion bill.
Right.
But as you guys have pointed out, it's not. It's not, because abortion has been legal since 1992. So this is just a way to fire up their base, make a false, statement, or a red herring statement, and to try to get people out to vote to support this.
Yeah.
It's just amazing the way that I give them credit. They reframe whatever issue to fit whatever narrative that they want.
Yeah.
And this one, we just need people to understand really what this does to children and how parents actually will lose their rights to control the reproductive health of their children.
Yeah, and let's be specific here. This is framed as abortion, but the language is so, if I may use the term, fluid enough that it would open the door for gender reassignment procedures, again, without parental consent. And during the last several decades of the discussions we've had about abortion in this country, there have been two things that have had broad support across the board in America. Number one, late-term abortion, which is a vile, horrific, borderline infanticide, if not outright infanticidal act. And number two, parental notification or parental permission, parental consent.
And the way this is written, it says every person has the fundamental right to reproductive freedom. So they've made it so that
an 11-year-old,
if a parent objects, they are violating this person's right to liberty and equality and right to reproductive freedom. It's very sneaky.
Sully, how has the turnout been in Montgomery County? Because my understanding is that this hasn't been an overwhelming, yes, let's put on our pink hats and go march for abortion kind of situation in Rockville. Many parents are coming out against this.
Actually, it was amazing. This past Tuesday, one of the more liberal county council members, Kate Stewart, had a rally at the county council building. And I went down there just to film her because they say a lot of stupid stuff, and I like to get it on film. And so while I was down there, it was amazing that there were more people in favor of parents' rights than the folks who were framing it as an abortion issue.
Fascinating.
And it was really great because I really think as people understand what's going on, the tide is turning. The adults, just like in Virginia, people were saying, like, look, I want control of my kids. I want control.
That's right.
I know.
Parents know best about the future of our, especially when it comes to a sexual nature. And we see that for some reason on the political left, they are intent on getting between a child and her parents on issues related to sex. And we don't like that sort of thing. Sullivan, thanks for joining us as always, sir. Thank you.
Actually, thank you.
Coming up in a moment, Diddy in handcuffs, arrested overnight. We'll give you the details. First, though, at 6:15,
WMAL.
Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Upgrade to a new walk-in shower from Long Baths. Call now to get your free estimate today.
Did he ever write anything original? Everything was just sort of a remix of something else. But it's okay because he's a mogul. He's Sean Combs. You know him better as Sean Puff Daddy Combs or P. Diddy Combs or Diddy Combs, or there were some other ones in there.
Oh, there's now some new names for him.
You know, he tagged Jennifer Lopez as J-Lo.
Oh, that's right.
Actually, he's not the only way he tagged her. Actually, now that I think about
Larry.
well, there's a whole long history there. But now Diddy has been taken into federal custody in New York. Grand jury indictment came down against the music, clothing, multimedia, entertainment mogul. Oh, he's got a new one, doesn't he?
Yeah, Epstein. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, you think that there could be an Epstein situation going on
No,
there
I
in the
think he's
courthouse?
just the new Epstein.
Sure. That's true. He did have sort of a Caribbean island situation,
Yeah.
too. He's been under scrutiny since a 2023 lawsuit by his former girlfriend, Cassie, accusing him of sex trafficking and years of sexual abuse. There's been plenty of documented evidence to suggest that he is, in fact, guilty of many of those allegations. And, of course, there was a high-profile raid of one of his many mansions that resulted in his plane leaving the States, going to, I think, Antigua. But then he came back. It's all a very confusing. It's going to be a great documentary, if not made-for-television film series that will win many Emmy Awards for all the people who have been participating in these behaviors with P. Diddy, but somehow have escaped any sort of prosecution. But it's official now. He's facing a parade of lawsuits and human trafficking investigations. Now, the actual charge, he was arrested, by the way, at the Park Hyatt Hotel on 57th in Manhattan, taken into custody by Homeland Security last night, based on an indictment that's expected to be unsealed later this morning. That's according to a statement from Damian Williams,
other things to do.
U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. I don't know if you're protecting children from sex
fine.
trafficking. This is probably a worthy cause.
Okay.
According to Diddy's lawyer, quote, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office." Well, there you go. He voluntarily relocated to New York last week in anticipation of the charges. His team maintains his innocence and that he has nothing to hide.
Wasn't Jimmy Kimmel a big fan of this guy?
Yes, actually, Jay. Everyone wonders, what happened to Jimmy Kimmel? Why is he so different? Well, I don't know, but he definitely has gone through quite a bit now that he became a big old... he started as a radio producer, a morning show radio producer. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Heather Hunter. This is what happens. Yes, he was the morning show producer on K-Rock in L.A. Then he got an afternoon show and brought in his buddy Adam Carolla to help him out. One thing led to another, and Jimmy Kimmel finds himself hanging out with Diddy just a couple of years ago on his late-night talk show.
Maybe you could be president. Do you ever think about anything like that?
No.
Really, never?
No.
Why?
I wouldn't make a good president.
You don't think you'd be good?
I wouldn't really pass any of the things that you have to pass, but I guess Trump did it.
Yeah, no.
There you go. He went on to say that he would support Diddy if he were to run for president. So
There you go.
Jimmy
Kimmel's
Kimmel.
such a nice guy.
He is. He's everybody's bud. It's 6:21. Oh, did I mention J-Lo?
You did.
Yes. Speaking of Jennifer Lopez, a former paramour of the aforementioned, now arrested P. Diddy. There's more revelations coming out about the incredibly dysfunctional relationship of Jennifer Lopez and her current estranged husband, Ben Affleck, who, were they married officially before the first time, too?
Oh, no.
They were never married before.
They were engaged.
And then it disintegrated
they called
famously
it off. Yes.
after the...
That horrible movie.
Geely movie, yeah.
Yeah, Geely.
And now they're back together again, and they got married, and then he looked miserable the entire time.
Yeah, and angry and abusive.
Now they're separated.
Yeah.
Although
They announced they're getting...
Yeah.
They announced they're getting divorced.
And now they've been seen together publicly, and
brunch.
he's like grabbing her the whole time.
He can't
publicly.
keep his hands off her, and apparently there's they're still attracted. Well, yeah, they're still attracted. They got married 5 seconds ago.
They were having brunch with their children at the Polo Lounge at the Beverly Hills Hotel on Saturday, and the stars were seen holding hands and kissing.
Honestly, these people have kids. These people have kids. Their kids are seeing all of this. Their kids are seeing the back and forth, the meanness, the cruelty. And again, there are videos of him yelling at her and being rude to her and slamming her car door. And
Ben Affleck's youngest daughter changed her name and is now identifying as trans. Jennifer Lopez's daughter also recently came out as non-binary. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, though, that these two parents have had to deal with this with their children. I'm not sure this isn't a cry for help and trying to get some sort of attention.
Yeah, absolutely. It's terrible what these people do. I mean, not off. Look. these people are, gajillionaires, live in these insane mansions. They probably don't even lay eyes.
Actually, I think the two go hand in hand. When you've got this kind of money and this kind of fame, I think
Yes.
by definition it means that you're going to have serious, serious social problems.
Yeah,
and
just the
mental problems.
narcissism on display, the selfishness. It's terrible.
And the self-destructiveness and the
Yes.
lack of self-respect that permeates down into their children. That's right, we're judging.
Yes.
But you're like, let the judgment seethe through you. It makes you more
secreting
powerful.
Judgment.
I don't know. I think when all is said and done, I want to have a serious romantic relationship with the woman who used to be Sean Puff Daddy Combs' sexual plaything.
Gross.
Said no man with any self-respect
about
or
secreting.
judgment ever.
Sorry.
All right, we can't use
We're
that
done.
word
We're
anymore.
done. We're
It's
done.
an official Secret Service word,
Yeah, I know.
secreting. That's
I
all. We're
know.
just repeating what happened. Coming up, we're going to speak with Tom Clancy. Not Tom Clancy. That would be amazing. Coming up, we're going to have a seance, and we're going to speak with Mike Clancy, running for Congress in Virginia's 10th. Keep it here.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now. Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 6:37. Thanks for tuning in here. It's a busy morning, and it's just going to get busier starting at 7:05 with Tom Fitton of Judicial Watch. 8:05, Dr. Marty McCary, the last, person you can trust in the public health community, since he was right about COVID all along. 8:35, Tony Sabio. He's a former Secret Service agent. I'm Larry O'Connor. That's Julie Gunlock right there.
Good morning.
Virginian Julie
That's
Gunlock.
right.
You are a Virginian. And, we talk about how we're, locked and ready to go and we're focused and like a laser beam right up through Election Day. And let's be real here, guys. When we say right up through Election Day, we mean 3 days from now. Because in Virginia, early voting is just 3 days away. And that's why we need to talk to this guy, Mike Clancy, because he wants your vote. He's the Republican nominee for Congress in the highly, highly scrutinized 10th Congressional District in Virginia. Mr. Clancy, thanks for checking in with us.
Oh, absolutely. Good morning. Good morning to both of you.
And it is, this race is, as I said, scrutinized because this is an open seat right now. It's a bit of a bellwether, and it's one of those seats that will make the difference in the Republican majority in the House. So, Mr. Clancy, how is the race going from your perspective?
The race is going great. We've been all over the district. I mean, just last Saturday, we had volunteer teams in Fauquier County, Loudoun County, Prince William County out hitting the doors, talking to voters. People are energized. They're demanding change. You mentioned the early voting starting this Friday. And if people want to affect change, make a difference, get our country back on the right track, we're urging our voters to get out and vote early. We need a strong majority in the House of Representatives, and that majority runs through Virginia's 10th district. This is a critical seat for our Republican majority.
There's been lots in the news the last couple of weeks. What are you hearing from voters? What are they concerned about?
But really, the number one issue continues to be the economy. I talked with a single mom at the Prince William County Fair a few weeks ago, and her number one, she has 2 teenage sons. And her number one issue was grocery prices. And if your listeners have teenage sons, they know exactly what she's talking about.
I have 3 boys.
Right? You have 3 boys.
3 teens.
Right? So it's grocery prices. The $100 of groceries 4 years ago cost $125. People are using their credit cards to pay for these groceries with 25% interest. It's not sustainable. So the economy continues, the economy and affordability continues to be a driving issue. And my opponent's pushing the same extreme liberal radical ideas, price control, more spending, more taxes. None of that's going to solve the problem. It's only going to force inflation higher.
But I have a question for you. As you're talking to people, Vice President Harris is sort of doubling down on this price control idea, and she's saying it's basically greed, right? And we all know that that's baloney, but when you talk to people, do they believe that? Or are they connecting the dots? Do they see that it is the policies of Biden-Harris that has caused their groceries to go up?
people don't think it's corporate greed. people look at the systemic causes of the excessive government spending, the deficit spending, the energy costs that have skyrocketed because the Biden administration, the Harris administration have been put a stranglehold on energy. Energy impacts everything. So people realize what's going on in this economy, and they're demanding change. People want change, and my campaign is all about being that agent of change and getting back to restoring America and fighting back against the extreme radical agenda of my opponent and Harris.
Yeah, you're going to be participating in a candidates forum. There's, as far as I know, and you can correct me, please do. There's no debate per se, but you're having a candidates forum along with the candidates for the 10th congressional district, and that's tonight at Metz Middle School in Manassas. Is that right?
No, the first debate that I'm going to have with my opponent will be this Friday at the Loudon Chamber. The Loudon Chamber of Commerce is hosting a candidates forum, as they like to call it, that's this Friday morning.
Oh, thank you for the correction. I'm reading outdated information here, and I apologize. Yeah. So, well, this is good, Tom, because I want to know what case you're going to make here. Because I'll be honest with you. Compared to the 7th district with your friend Derek Anderson versus the Vindman guy, they're getting a lot of attention over there. This race is a little more under the radar, but frankly, given the makeup of the 10th district and the concerns that we have been focusing on for so long now with regard to the voters and people of Loudoun County, I think that this is frankly the most important race that we've got in Northern Virginia. So this is your chance to really make the case and draw the distinction. What do you intend to say?
Exactly. And so what we have is my opponent's been in the state legislature for roughly 5 years, and he has an extreme radical liberal voting record. He's voted for every tax increase he can. He's voted against parents' rights time and time again. He has voted to provide benefits and driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. He's fostering illegal immigration. He has advocated to restrict local law enforcement from collaborating with federal law enforcement on illegal immigrant crime. And so we're going to be focusing on his record, his extreme radical liberal record in the House of Delegates and in the state Senate. That is what the key differentiator is. It's whether you want more of that radical liberal record and all the chaos, or do you want to vote for common sense, conservative solutions?
Well, and let me ask you just a series of questions, because when you think Loudoun County, it really boils down to the struggles that so many parents have had for their children. Now, when the Loudoun County School Board was trying to keep children out of the classroom and masked up, I know where Mike Clancy was. Mike Clancy, private citizen, was there fighting for parents. Suhas, he was in the legislature. Where was he? What was he doing?
Absolutely. He opposed the governor. He voted against the legislation being proposed by the governor to make a max mandate optional. That's right. and to get kids back.
He was standing with the teachers union, and he was standing with the school board that now has been rejected by the people of Loudoun County. Listen, when parents were upset about the filth that was being put into the school curriculums and the transgender policies that led to a sexual assault of a young girl, I know where you were, Mike Clancy. You were at those meetings. You were just a private citizen looking out for the people of Loudoun County. Where was Suhas? Because he could have done something about it down in Richmond. Where was he?
Well, once again, he voted against the legislation that would require schools to notify parents about explicit materials in schools. He voted for the legislation that would allow schools not to report sexual assaults. He voted against the repeal of that law. And he even did a press conference with Jennifer Boysko demanding that Attorney General Miyares shut down his investigation of the sexual assaults and the cover-up of the sexual assaults by the Loudoun School Board. So, but when I say he's against parents' rights, he has a record of 5 years of opposing parents at every turn, and his campaign is backed by the unions. Yeah. He's a union. He's just a mouthpiece for the union.
I'll tell you something. But when Barbara Comstock was the last Republican congresswoman in the 10th district, when Jennifer Wexton defeated her, she ran as a Republican in Democrat clothing, right? She pretended like there's no real difference. We're both moderates, but, Trump is icky. And then she progressively got more liberal. Yeah. Now, the Democrat nominee to replace her is the most radical of all that Loudoun County has ever seen. I hope the voters of the 10th District are not fooled by this. Jennifer Wexton is way to the right of this guy.
Yeah.
And Tom Clancy, you're the last man standing to keep some sanity in the 10th District.
No, absolutely. He would be the most he would be the most liberal, radical representative of this district ever in the history of this district.
That's right.
Think of the great leadership we've had in folks like Congressman Frank Wolf, right?
That's right.
And we need to get back to that
That's
kind
right.
of leadership, and that's what I'm trying to do, to get back to Congress, restore America, restore credibility, and be a real voice for the citizens of this district, and bring common sense, economics, protect parents' rights, and we need and the border security is probably the second critical issue that we need to deal with.
Yeah. Mike Clancy for Congress.com. Mike Clancy for Congress.com. Mike, it's been 9 minutes. I'm sorry to tell you, you got to get back out there and start pounding on doors and shaking hands.
No, I need to get back to work.
That's right.
Thanks for having me on.
Nice coffee break for you this morning. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
6:40.
Right, have a great day.
6:46. We got to get to the Jamie Whitten and the Hadid Carpet Cleaning Traffic Center.
On the next Vince Coglianese show, the stories ripped from the headlines and translated into the truth. Join us 3 to 6 on WMAL.
Larry, we talk a lot about the sort of crazy women of Northern Virginia, or rather I do.
I don't think I would use such a term to describe them, but you know them better than I do.
Oh, well, yes,
sure.
you would. Yes, you would. And
They're a little
one
crazy.
of them that we followed this week was this lovely woman named Rachel Vindman.
Oh, yes.
Yes, this is the wife of Alexander Vindman. This is sort of the
so-called
White House,
whistleblower.
whistleblower, Ukraine military official, and his brother Eugene Vindman, who is running in the 7th District in Virginia. And as you recall, I think we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, she tweeted out a joke about the assassination attempt at Donald Trump.
And she's not a nice person. She has a podcast. She's very provocative. She's constantly saying sort of insulting things about Republicans and Trump in particular. Definitely sort of one of these TDS sufferers.
Yes.
But she tweeted out, "No ears were harmed," within minutes of Trump being shot at the golf course. Mm-hmm. And of course, she got a lot of blowback for that. Right. And she doubled down. Yeah. And she said, sorry you were all triggered. And then she said, ... No, I'm not. I'm not sorry at all. And then her husband was attacking people. Right. Eugene was sort of defending her as well. Well, late yesterday, she erased her tweet.
Oh, she deleted it.
She deleted it.
Wait, but I thought she didn't care she triggered people.
Right.
I thought that she didn't care a little bit, she said.
Well, look, Eugene's race isn't doing well, okay? And it was kind of interesting, and I made this point on Twitter myself, that, Rachel really did the voters of the 7th District a favor. She expressed, and she had, look, if you're not paying attention to her, she has shown who she is and who her family is for years. But she retweeted, or she put out a different tweet saying, "I have deleted my tweet. I was flippant, and political violence is a serious issue." So then suddenly she decides that this is a serious issue. Fascinating. I suspect there was a family meeting with the campaign, with Eugene's campaign manager saying, "This is not helpful. Mm-hmm. He's already down in the polls, and now you've revealed that you and your relatives are kind of monsters, and people don't want this in political discourse today." Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that she deleted her tweet, but nobody believes her that she's actually apologetic about it. This is exactly what the people of the 7th District will get if they elect this family to represent them. And I think it's time for a lot of soul searching there for Virginians to decide whether they are the kind of Virginians that Rachel Vindman best exemplifies, or if they are the kind of Virginians that retired Green Beret Derek Anderson exemplifies. More information on him at DerekAnderson.com.